I'm Stefania de Kenessey, and I'm a composer. I'm often asked what made me choose music as a career, and my answer is that music really chose me. When I was 3 years old, my mom was concerned that I was too skinny. And in order to make sure that I had robust appetite, she enrolled me in a neighborhood rhythmic gymnastics school in Budapest, Hungary, where I was born. There was a little old lady playing the piano in the corner of the room, and I fell in love with the music that she was playing. I used to sit underneath the piano and just listen to the sounds wash over me, and it was love that I cannot describe. It was really, truly love at first sight or at first sound. And from that moment on, I started to hear music in my head that she hadn't actually been playing. From that moment on, I knew that music was calling to me. I made my parents, against their better judgment, give me permission to audition for and then enroll in a specialized music school founded by Zoltán Kodály, which I attended until I came to this country at age 10. Then I got my undergraduate degree in music composition at Yale, finally a PhD in composition again at Princeton, and I've been practicing my craft as a composer ever since. The style of my music is hard to describe, and of course it's always hard to describe your own self, but it's an unusual eclectic mix of various influences. I was born in Budapest and attended a specialized music school founded by Zoltán Kodály, so we had tons and tons of Bartók and other Eastern European composers. My mother, however, was Bulgarian, and we visited her folks regularly, and I heard a lot of Bulgarian folk musics with its unusual harmonies and sonorities. When I came to this country as a young teenager, of course, I heard lots and lots of rock and roll and blues-derived idioms, and then my love of classical music never ever waned. So the result is some eclectic, weird, odd, I think wonderful combination of all these diverse influences, and I hope that you enjoy listening to it as much as I like making it. I wrote Menstrual Rosary in 2021. It is a provocative, hilarious, and very offbeat music theater piece in which two nuns wearing bright red lipstick recite the rosary endlessly, but it keeps veering off into bits and pieces of ads for feminine care products. The provocative text was construed, and the scenario was construed by my friend, the philosopher Chiara Bottici, and the poet provocateur, Vanessa Place. And we created a video of it under the direction of Cecilia Rubino, also my colleague at the New School, for the launch of the newly formed Gender and Sexuality Studies Institute. The premiere was on video in 2021. It has since then been awarded prizes in short film festivals all over the world. It has gathered 27 awards, the last two being top prizes in Dallas and in Vienna. And I hope that you enjoy watching this unusual little piece. My most recent work is a cantata entitled The Names of Women, and it was written for the newly formed Dal Sogno Ensemble, founded by the amazing violinist Mara Milkis, who also asked me to be composer in residence for the group. The genesis of the piece is partly an ode to my long-term interest in feminism and in promoting rights for women, but it also was sparked by an article I read not too many years ago about somebody named Enhedwana, of whom I had never heard. It turns out that she is, and the emphasis is on that, the she pronoun, the first author in human history to name herself. She wrote approximately 2500 BC in ancient Sumeria, so well before Homer, and she names herself in her poems. I am Enhedwana. Unfortunately, her name was lost to history for hundreds of years afterwards, even though she became, after her death, the material for scribes learning cuneiform writing. I wanted to resurrect her name, and I hope that I managed to do this with the cantata. The cantata closes with Enhedwana, but it honors a number of other women along the way. The second aria is a setting of a poem by the very talented Alfonsina Storni. It's entitled Tiny Little Man, and it is a very sly, wicked, hilarious poem, brilliantly translated by Rina Espaya from the original Spanish into English, and you will hear that version here today. Wow, that was amazing. That was perfect. That was just right. So I wrote Microwitz during the pandemic lockdown, during that sad, sad summer when, like many people, I was very, very depressed, upset, feeling cooped up, and feeling very hopeless about life in general. And in addition to feeling sorry for myself, I also felt very, very sorry for all the young people who were locked up in their apartments, unable to have normal lessons, unable to go to concerts. And I thought, what can I do to help them even a little bit? And I thought it'd be really, really nice to write some piano miniatures that reflected the emotions of that time. So I wrote these 19 miniatures, 19 obviously because of COVID-19. And the idea was to have a range of emotions from sadness to joy, to despair, to hope, and give them something that they could work on and work with, and perfect their piano techniques, a little bit like the Bartók Microcosmos that I grew up with as a kid, but more American, more tuneful, more fun. Right. And then, being a composer, I wrote it, I copied it over, and I didn't know what to do next, so I gave it to Donna. And then the story just begins there.
Well, first of all, thank you for trusting me with your microvids.
Oh, absolutely.
But it's when I first played through it, I immediately felt a connection to the pieces. And, you know, with each of these little gems, and I call them gems because on their own, they sparkle and shine. You know, I called Stefania and I said, you know, I think this is going to be the next Carnival of the Animals. And I said, except for there's no poetry. And so I suggested, I said, maybe we can get someone to write a couple of rhyming couplets to introduce each of the miniatures. And Stefania said, okay, I'll think about it. And a couple of days later, she sent me these charming rhyming couplets that she wrote herself. And I'm actually teaching microvids to several of my students now, and they love it. They just absolutely love it.
The other development that has happened that is really worth mentioning is we decided that there's no reason why the text should only exist in English. That seemed somehow too American-centric and unfair to all the communities that are out there. So we have a version already in Spanish, and other versions in other languages are forthcoming to enable the piece to enter those communities and those worlds, both within the US and hopefully internationally. Yeah. Well, we should mention that there will be a formal recording of the piece.
Yes.
With Donna at the piano and
the poetry recitation by actress Crystal Joy Brown. I worked with Crystal on one of my education programs. She is a Broadway actress and formerly Eliza in Hamilton on Broadway, and she is now Gussie, the first African-American Gussie in Sondheim's Merrily We Roll Along. And it was a lot of fun recording with her. And I can't wait for everyone to hear and experience microvids.
Pure joy. Rippling reflections, sunlight dappled white. Pure joy, sweetly pleasured, heaven's blue delight. Bursting out. The strength of my anger is something to behold. I am edgy. I am rebellious. I am furious. I am bold. dream away. Rising in the air, a mysterious sight, a weightless black pebble ascending in the night. That's what you think. You stand with attitude. You sit with poise and grace. You know a thing or two. You weave a private space. 19 months are come and gone. My weary eye can barely blink. You finally got it all figured out. Ha ha. That's what you think.
In 2015, I was lucky enough to have the premiere of my first full-length opera, The Bonfire of the Vanities, based on the novel by Tom Wolfe. It had a libretto by Michael Bergman, and it was produced by Process Studio Theater. The conductor was the incredibly talented Daniela Candelari, and we had an absolute blast with this satire of New York life and its excesses in the late 1980s. Sadly, all the things that marked the book and made it such a bestseller at the time are still sort of true in American life and in urban life in this city. So the piece remains timely, even though it was premiered a few years ago. I hope you enjoyed this excerpt from it.
It will give grateful parents a much-needed hitch. They can borrow some money so hot it will burn against what the now minor children will learn. Say you're a parent maxed out for your kid. Cash in on him now before you're well rid. You gave him a future, his turn to give back. You can be sure you get back on track. He'll be glad for the chance to give back. Each kid is different, a geek's a good bet. Opera composers as bad as they get. You put them together, you make a beautiful. Our customers will some money will flush down from the skies.
Unorthodox is a piece for dance that I wrote in 2020 for Ariel Rivka Dance Company, and it has its magnificent choreography by Ariel Grossman, who's sitting here with me, and I'm hoping you'll tell us a little bit about the company and the piece itself.
Sure. So I'm Ariel Grossman, the artistic director of Ariel Rivka Dance. We are an all-female dance company created about 15, 16 years ago. And Unorthodox is a piece that we created right before the pandemic. And it was one of the first times that Stefania and I were working together. And we went back and forth a lot of times with what the music was going to be. And a lot of conversations of, it just isn't working, it just isn't working. And it finally just clicked. And it is one of our most successful pieces. The dancers love it. The audience responds with such enthusiasm afterwards. It is driving. The music has this slow build, and I love hearing it. I love hearing it every time, and it's been such a joy to be able to collaborate with you for so many years now.
So can you say a few words also about Unorthodox, the genesis of the piece, of the concept behind it?
Right, so there are a number of different ways that the piece came to be, but I think ultimately I was inspired to create a work where women could really show the struggle of trying to keep themselves together, keep their feelings in, and then as they let them go, are they able to keep themselves in control, or if they let it go, is it just going to fall all out? And if it just falls all out, can that be okay?
I would like to thank Tanya Leon and Composers Now for including me in the Impact video series. I am truly honored to be part of this wonderfully talented group of composers. Thank you.